Hello everyone, back tuning into the night summer 2019 Analogues update from Gazovizicom. So we are nearly at the end of our summer updates now. Just got one more to do next week, and then 2 weeks today we're going to release a summer forecast. So we're almost at the end of the journey for these summer updates. Hope you found them interesting and informative. We're going to have a look at some more April data for this update. So last week we focused on the April CT, and this week we're going to focus on April England and Wales precipitation, and we'll also do a little bit of pattern matching at the end of the video as well, just have a little bit of a laugh with that one. So just to say that it's going to be quite a long video as usual. You can't watch it all in one go, don't worry, it will be kept on Gazovizicom indefinitely. We'll be placing it on the summer updates page later on today with a written summary going over everything that we discuss in the video, so you'll be able to watch the video on demand and also have a read of that written summary. That will be sometime this evening. Big thank you to Analogues guru Mr. James Ackrill for getting all of these analogues together for us once again. So as ever, I'm indebted to James for sending these analogues through for us. Later on today we'll have Gazov's Sunday Roundup, and we're also going to kick off our updates for the late spring bank holiday weekend. So a busy old day to come at Gazov's today. Alright, so let's get on with it. As I say, we're focusing on England and Wales precipitation for April. It was a fairly dry month, actually, for much of England and Wales, particularly so in the east, bit of an east-west split. Precipitation for April 2019 actually came out at 46.4 millimetres. So our range that we're going to look at with our analogues is going to be between 40 and 52 millimetres. There are quite a lot of years to look at, though, so I have to narrow that down a little bit at the end when we come to the all years combined. But that's what the number was for April 2019. Precipitation 46.4 millimetres, with our range coming out between 40 and 52 millimetres. Right, so here we go. The first April that we've got within our range of 40 to 52 millimetres is April 1860, the summer of 1860, looking really unsettled. This looks like a really unsettled summer indeed, with a big trough of below average heights over the UK and much of Northern Europe as well. So obviously we're bringing a strong jet stream through rather like that. Very unsettled summer in 1860. The next April within our England-Wales precipitation range of 40 to 52 millimetres is 1866. The summer of 1866, again, looking really unsettled with this summer. So deep area of below average heights over the UK and most of Northern Europe too. With an area of high pressure up towards Iceland, that's sending the jet stream off into that sort of position. So another cool, unsettled, potentially very cool summer in 1866. The next summer is 1869. This is a better summer. So it's not as good as the summer before it. 1868 was a very hot summer. But it's not a bad summer, really. We have above average heights sitting just to our northwest and west. We have below average heights sitting to our east. So it's not overly warm, but it is a relatively fine summer. There's a lot of decent weather on offer with this summer in 1869. I think it's not too bad. It's not remembered anywhere near as good as 1868, the summer before it. That was a proper hot summer, but it's not a bad summer, really. Now, the next April within our England and Wales precipitation range of 40 to 52 millimetres is April 1874. The summer of 1874 doesn't really have a lot to go on, actually. So I'm not really sure what this summer was about. If anybody can let me know in the comments what the summer of 1874 was like, I'm sure there are plenty of people who know, then please fill me in, because we can't get much of the information from the 500 millibar height anomaly. The next April is going to be 1883 with an England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. The summer of 1883, now this is very obvious what's happening with this summer. deep trough of below average heights in the 500 millibar flow over top of the UK, and a blocking signal up to the north. Doesn't look very good, does it? It's sending the jet stream southwards. That's going to be a cool, unsettled, and potentially quite wet summer in 1883. 1884 is next, with an England-Wales April precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Summer of 1884 looks a little bit better. So it's got above average heights to the north, quite a strong blocking signal sitting to the north of the UK, below average heights to the south. I assume it's quite an easterly summer, potentially bringing in thunder at times, potentially quite a thundery summer down in the south. The next summer is 1888, so lots and lots of summers here within this precipitation range from the Victorian era, quite interestingly. The summer of 1888 looks like this: above average heights to our north, quite a strong blocking signal, below average heights just to our south. It's a very cool and unsettled summer. And of course, it has a really cold end to the summer and beginning of autumn as well. September 1888 has the earliest recorded snowfalls across many parts of lowland southern Britain in September 1888. I'm going to go through to the summer of 1819. He said September then, so nearly slipped up, didn't I? Always best to be honest and transparent about these things, I think. So, this is the summer of 1890, following April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. This one looks pretty grim. Again, below average heights over the UK, almost as a trough in the 500 millibar flow. Blocking signal to the north. And we send the jet stream in that sort of direction too. So, very cool, very unsettled summer in 1890. I have to say, so far, these analogues don't look very good, but of course we are going a very long way back at the moment with these analogues, and we'll have more sort of recent, modern type analogues coming up very shortly. The next April is 1891. And the summer of 1891 has this big Greenland high up here to our north. It has below average heights from the Atlantic into the UK. It'll send the jet stream off to the south. That's another cool, potentially very cool and unsettled summer in 1891. We're out of the Victorian era now and into the 20th century. This is the summer of 1900. So this is a slightly better summer. It has above average heights sitting up to our north and northeast, below average heights out to the west and southwest, sending the jet stream through rather like that. That's a pretty good summer in 1900. Not a good summer is 1902. This one again with below average heights in the Atlantic and the jet stream coming through into northwestern Europe. But again, the giveaway is the blocking signal up towards Greenland. This is a very poor summer in 1902, following an April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. 1904 is next. So the summer of 1904 has above average heights to the north. It has below average heights to the west-southwest. Fairly common recurring pattern this in a lot of these analogue years. Again, the jet stream's on a more southerly track. That's a pretty cool and unsettled summer again in 1904. 1911 looks like this. Now, this is an interesting summer because you would probably look at that and think it's a very poor summer because it has that high pressure over Greenland. It has a blocking signal towards Greenland, which typically is not a particularly good signal. But in this particular instance, it's not a bad signal because there's also an area of above average heights across central parts of Europe. And the below average heights that we have in the Atlantic, kind of like going down to that sort of direction. So what actually happens with this summer is that it's a very hot summer, particularly hot in July, but also hot in August. That's one of the classic summers of the 20th century, one of the classic hot summers of the 20th century showing up in our analogues package. So that's a much, much better summer. By far, the best summer that we've seen so far, I think. But back to normal with the summer of 1916, following an April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Summer of 1916, very unsettled summer indeed, just a deep trough of below average heights engulfing not just the UK but through most parts of Europe as well. Then quite a big gap through to 1941. So the summer of 1941 is quite an unsettled summer with below average heights across the west of Europe, a bit of a blocking signal up towards Scandinavia, and a weakened Azores high in the middle of the Atlantic. Summer of 1941 is relatively cool and relatively unsettled following April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Summer of 1942 comes up next, so this one has above average heights out to our west, a weak area of below average heights to our east. I think it's a relatively quiet summer, not a lot going on, quite a calm summer. The Atlantic is blocked off, but it's fairly cool as well. It's quite a coolish summer in 1942. And then 1945 showing up next, so quite a few from a decade of the 1940s, interestingly. This one, it's rather unsettled, but it's a warmer summer compared to some of them in the 1940s. So it's fairly mixed, but it does have warm, at times even quite, even very warm conditions at times in the summer of 1945. 1946 shows up next, so loads of summers from the 1940s with following Aprils with an England and Wales precipitation range of 40 to 52 millimetres. The summer of 1946 is really unsettled, very, very cool and wet summer in 1946 with a jet stream on a southerly track, and just a really nasty, wet, cool summer in 1946. Very, very unsettled indeed in the summer that precedes the winter of 46-47. Then quite a gap through to 1956. So April 1956 coming out with an England and Wales precipitation range of 40 to 52 millimetres. The summer of 1956 is one of the worst summers of the 20th century. It's up there with like the very worst summers of the 20th century. Hardly a surprise when you look at the pattern there. Just a deep trough of below average heights engulfing the UK, most of Europe too. The jet streams southerly tracking. I mean, excuse me, if it can go wrong with this summer, it is going wrong. It's all going wrong in the summer of 1956. It's particularly terrible in August of 1956. 1960 doesn't look particularly good either. So again, we've got the blocking signal up to the north. We've got the below average heights underneath it. We're bringing in the wind in that sort of direction. So it's just a really bad summer again in 1960. Very cool, very wet and unsettled summer. 1967 comes up next in our analogues range. So England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Summer of 1967 with the above average heights to our south, below average heights to the north. Jet streams a bit like that. I mean, it's not a particularly good summer at all, but compared to a lot of them that we've seen in these analogues so far, it's not a bad summer, really. It's one of the better summers of the 1960s as well. The 1960s is a notably dismal decade for summers, but the summer of love in 1967 wasn't that bad. It did have at least some warmish and dryish weather in the summer of love. And then we're on to 1977. So, summer of 1977 ends the two classic hot summers of 75 and 76. We're back down to earth with a bump in the summer of 1977. With above average heights out to the northwest and below average heights to our south. Quite an easterly sort of summer, but quite unsettled. Very rarely hot, just rather cool and unsettled summer in the summer of 1977. Very, very different to the two that came before it. And then rather alarmingly, we have another one of the worst summers of the 20th century. It's the summer of 1988. following again an April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Look at this, the summer of 1988 is another one of those that if it can go wrong, it is going wrong. Low pressure over the country, jet streams on a southerly track. It did pick up a little bit in August of 1988, but otherwise it was a very, very poor summer with one of the worst Julys of the 20th century. April 1996 has an England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. The summer of 1996 was like this, rather a bizarre sort of pattern. Lots of low pressure up to the north, some above average heights out to the west and also to our south. It's a bit of everything in the summer of 1996, but overall it's not too bad. It's nowhere near as good as the summer of 1995, for example, but it does have a lot of useful, dry, warm, fine conditions. There's regular thunderstorms as well in the summer of 1996. It's a bit of a forgotten summer, but it's not a bad summer really. Then we got the summer of 2002, following April England Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres. Now this one looks like it'd be a very bad summer from the 500 millibar height anomaly, because it does have low pressure pretty much over the country, but it also has this area of high pressure to our east. So we're regularly drawing in sort of warm or even very warm, occasionally hot, southerly winds. It's quite an unsettled, quite a mixed summer. Regular rain, regular thunderstorms, but it's warm and humid. And there is a decent, really hot spell at the end of July in 2002. And then we've got 2003. So finally, this is our first really good summer within this Analogues package since 1911. The summer of 2003, following April England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres, has this big area of above average heights over Central Europe and going north with below average heights in the Atlantic, deep trough there. We suck up those southerly winds, and it gets really, really hot. I mean, we talk about temperatures going up to 100 Fahrenheit in August of 2003. That's a very hot summer, and it's the first one, as I say, within this Analogues package since 1911. And we've got another really good summer. So all of a sudden, right at the end, things are looking up a little bit, if you like, warm and dry weather. So the summer of 2006, again following England and Wales precipitation of 40 to 52 millimetres, with above average heights in this summer extending from Scandinavia through the UK into the Atlantic. Jet stream is pushed off up there. And this is a hot summer, of course. It has the hottest July and the hottest month on record. Hasn't been beaten so far, that record from July 2006. Very hot summer, although it did go a bit down the pan in August of 2006. And then the last year within our Analogues range, Analogues package with April CET, April England Wales precipitation, I should say, range of 40 to 52 millimetres, is the summer of 2009. The barbecue summer, as was expected by the UK Met Office. This one, below average heights out to our west, above average heights to our south, bringing in a westerly wind. It's a rather mixed summer, but it's not bad. It's not a barbecue summer particularly. It has quite a cool and unsettled July. But June and August of 2009, really not too bad. It's a relatively pleasant summer. Very rarely does it get particularly hot. I think there is one quite hot spell at the end of June and just the opening day or so of July 2009. But basically, it's a rather mixed type summer. But not bad, not a bad summer really to end with. Certainly we've had a lot worse within this Analogues package again today. Finally, just bringing all this together, so this is how all June's combined looks from that Analogues package. If we narrow the range down a little bit to 43 to 49 millimeters, so the reason we've had too bad is there are just too many summers within the Analogues package when we're talking about 40 to 52 millimeters. So we have to narrow the range down a little bit to be able to get our all months combined chart and all summers combined charts together. So we're narrowing it down to 43 to 49 millimeters, which of course places April 2019 with 46.4 millimeters. England and Wales precipitation slap bang in the middle of that range. So this is how all the Junes combined looks with 43 to 49 millimeters. It's not that bad a signal actually for June. Above average heights up towards Scandinavia, below average heights down to the southwest. Could be a bit unsettled, probably quite warm, probably quite volatile, could be quite thundery therefore. But overall, not that bad. You'd probably expect worse than that for the all June combined chart. However, look what happens when we have all July's combined. So then it gets really, really bad with below average heights over the UK and the Atlantic and Northern Europe. And of course, we've got the blocking up towards Greenland as well. I mean, bear in mind, there will be years that are deviating from that. So we know that within this, we've got, for example, July 2006, which is the hottest July on record. Also got July 1911, that's a very hot month too. Excuse me again. So there would be years that deviate from that. But when we bring all of the years together, we do quite clearly favour a very unsettled and really cool wet July when we have an April England and Wales precipitation of 43 to 49 millimetres. And when we go through to August, all August combined look like that. It's nearly as bad as all July's combined, really. Again, we've got the blocking signal up to the north, strong blocking signal up there. Below average heights as a trough within the 500 millibar flow, parked over the top of the UK. So obviously very cool and unsettled pair of months signalled for July and August here, with a rather better June. And then finally, of course, we've got to bring all of those summers together. So this is how all of the summers combined are looking, where we've got an England and Wales precipitation of 43 to 49 millimetres. All the summer months and all the summers combined look like that. And it's about as bad as it gets, similar to what we had last week with the April CET data. It suggests a big trough of below average heights over the top of the UK. It suggests a strong blocking signal around Greenland and to our north. Suggests a jet stream is going on a southerly track. So it all looks very, very grim, really, when we bring all of these summers together. Again, there will be summers within those years that are deviating. There is summer 2006. There's summer 1911. They're better summers. So there will be summers that are deviating. But overall, obviously, it's a very, very bad Analogues package, again, with the April England and Wales precipitation, similar to the very bad Analogues package that we had with the April CET data. So you have to say, when you put the CET data together with the precipitation data, it doesn't look very good in terms of what April was telling us about this summer. But bear in mind, that is just one part of the overall forecast, okay? So there's going to be a lot of other, when we come to bring the forecast together in a couple of weeks, there'll be a lot of other things that we've looked at through these Analogues updates that will go alongside the April data. So the April data on its own, if you just went with the April data, obviously that would push you towards forecasting for a cool, wet summer with just a very small chance of something hotter and drier if you was just to go on the April data alone. But we're not going to do that. There's going to be a lot more data that we will include when we come to issue the GASOVIS Summer 2019 forecast. Right, I'm going to pause the video just there. Let's move that over from stop to pause because we don't want to lose the recording after 24 minutes. I'm going to pause the video there. Going to go and get myself a little drink of water. I've been coughing a little bit as I've been doing that, so I'm going to go and give me throat a drink, and we'll meet back in around 2 seconds time, and we'll do a little bit of April pattern matching just to finish the video off and to finish April data off. And that's what we're going to do in around 2 seconds time, so see you very, very soon. Okay, we're back, and we're going to resume the 9th Summer 2019 Analogues update. And we're going to finish up by having a look at a little bit of pattern matching. So we have got the April 2019 500 millibar height anomaly together, and we've been looking back to try and find some years that had a similar pattern. I want you to let me know in the comments which year you think is the closest match to April 2019. We have really struggled with this to try and get some matches to the pattern that we've had in April 2019. So this is the pattern for April 2019. So it had below average heights out in the Atlantic. It had above average heights to our north, kind of like centre between Scandinavia and Greenland. So it's a rather east to southeasterly type month, quite a dryish month, but not completely dry. We have had drier Aprils, quite warm, but again not very warm. We have had warmer Aprils. But anyway, that's how the pattern for April 2019 stacks up. Now, as I said, we had a really hard time trying to get together some matches to this. It's a very unusual, very unique pattern. We've certainly discovered that as we've gone back through the archives all the way back, and go way back to, I think go back now to 1851. So we have gone all the way back through those archives, and as I say, we've discovered that this is a very unusual pattern that we've had with this April. So the closest matches, and we're not entirely happy with any of these years, to be honest. These are just the closest matches that we can find, but none of them are a really good match, actually, for April 19, just the closest. So the first year that we think is pretty close to April 2019 is April 1881. The blocking is a little bit more to the northwest, though, in April 1891. But it does have this below average height area in the Atlantic and down to our southwest. So what do you think? Let's go back to April 2019. That's April 2019. That's April 1881. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's not really good match, obviously. None of these years are. But we think that's one of the closest matches we can find. The next one is 1894. Now, this is a very good match. This is possibly the best match that we've got, actually. So, again, we've got the below average height area down to the southwest. Have the above average heights up towards Scandinavia. Obviously, quite an east-southeasterly flow in April 1894. Again, let's get rid of that, and let's compare April 2019 to April 1894. I don't think that's a bad match. I mean, again, it's not perfect, and none of these matches that we have found that we think are the best, closest, none of them are perfect, but I don't think that one is too bad, 1894. The next one is 1926, April 1926. Again, with that area of above average heights between sort of Scandinavia and Greenland. It's a little bit deeper, though, with the low pressure in the Atlantic. That's a bit deeper and affecting us more, I think. The ridge is that little bit further away from us. So it's probably a more unsettled month in April 1826. Again, there's the comparison. So, again, not too bad. It's reasonably close. But I think 1894 is probably better. Then a long gap to April 1989. This one, again, has the above average heights to our northeast. It's a little bit more centred towards northern Scandinavia. below average heights are kind of like over and just to the southwest of the UK. So that's a more unsettled month, and it's a cooler month as well in 1989. Again, you can see similarities. There are similarities between April 2019 and April 1989, but it's not the best match that we've got. Then we've got April 2003. This one, again, with the above average heights just to our north between sort of Iceland and Scandinavia. But this time the above average heights are extending down through the UK. We have got the below average heights in the Atlantic. They're a little bit further away from us. Thermojet's doing something like that. That's a warmer, drier month, I think, in April 2003. Again, the comparison. So, once more, it's not too bad a match. It's fairly close, but probably not the best match that we've got. And then finally, we've got April 2009. So, again, that's going all the way back, remember, to 1851. We go as far back as 1851 with a reanalysis now. So, very, very limited number of years that we think are sort of close to 2019. But it just goes to show you how unique the pattern has been, really, for April 2019. This is how April 2009 looks, with the below average heights in the Atlantic and going down there. The above average heights is more centred kind of like towards southern Scandinavia this time. But again, it's probably quite a southeasterly type month, relatively warm, fairly dry. Again, I don't think that's a bad match. For me, the two closest matches are probably 2009, and the best one is probably 1894. But do let me know what you think in the comments, which year you think is the closest match out of these. Please let me know in the comments. So just to finish off with the summer, so the summer of 1881, well, that one was an unsettled summer, with below average heights over the UK, bringing the jet stream through like that. That's a cool and unsettled summer in 1881. 1894 has above average heights to our north, so that has quite a strong blocking signal, with below average heights kind of to the south, to the east. We send the jet stream a bit southerly as well, so it's probably quite a cool, quite an unsettled summer in 1894. 1926 looks rather a poor summer too, below average heights in the Atlantic and coming into Europe as well, so that's quite an unsettled summer in 1926, not great. 1989 is probably the best summer out of this very limited number of pattern match years. This one with above average heights over top of the UK, below average heights up to the north, jet streams push north. It's a very good summer, very good extended summer, so it starts as early as May and it's still going on in September and October. The peak of the hot weather is in July 1989. Also 2003, so we can't forget that. So this is probably the best summer, actually, out of the analogues. Although this swings around about, because although summer 1989 isn't as hot as summer 2003, it's probably a drier summer, actually. So swings around about, but we've just discussed 2003, of course, with the earlier analogues. This one again with above average heights over and to the east of the country, sucking up those hot southerly winds. There's quite a lot of thunder in June and July of 2003, but August is very hot, especially in the first half. That was our last sort of classic hot August. And then finally, we've got the summer of 2009. We just discussed that. That's the infamous barbecue summer that the UK Met forecast. But it's not a bad summer, really. It didn't live up to the barbecue summer billing, but with a cool, unsettled July, but a decent June and August, really. It's not too bad overall. It does have a decent amount of fine weather the summer of 2009. Putting those limited number of April pattern match years together, this out the all-June combined chart is looking... so Junes tend to have the below average heights out to the west, tend to have above average heights up towards Scandinavia. some ways a little bit similar to the earlier All June's combined chart for the April England and Wales precipitation, with potentially quite warm but fairly volatile weather possible in June. Could be a little bit thundery. Now, July doesn't look too bad, actually, when we combine these years together. We have above average heights over to the east and to the south of the country, with below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic, tending to pull up some quite warm southerly to southwesterly winds with the All Julys combined. August doesn't look quite so good, although has below average heights kind of like over to the north of the country with above average heights just to our south. Does mean that for southern parts of the country there could be a decent amount of dry and quite warm weather on offer, but it is a little bit more unsettled. However, it could be worse. At least we have ridging, we have high pressure to our south in August. And the summers themselves, actually, probably this is the best package of analogues that we've seen with the April data. It certainly is a better analogues package than the England weather precipitation that I was just looking at. It's probably a better analogues package than April CT data too. Has above average heights to the south, below average heights in the Atlantic. It does have a bit of a blocking signal up here, but overall I think there would be a reasonable amount of dry and quite warm weather on offer with the summers from these April pattern matches. And of course we do have the summers of 1989 and 2003 included, which are both really good summers. So that's it. That's brought to an end the summer 2019 analogues update. A bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, this April hasn't pointed us particularly to a good summer. I mean, we've got the April CET data that we looked at last week, indicating quite a cool wet summer. We've also got the April precipitation data this week, indicating a rather cool wet summer. The April pattern matches are pointing us towards a better summer, but bear in mind there is only a very limited number of years due to the unusualness and uniqueness, really, of the pattern that we've had during April 2019. So we haven't got many years to go at, but what years we have, some of them, at least a couple of them, but are really good summers. So it's been a really mixed bag for April data, but remember, this is just one part of the overall summer forecast. So I've got one more analogues update to do next week. I think we're looking at ENSO next week. We're going to try and piece together some ENSO analogues for this summer. And then the week after that, we're going to issue the GASO this summer 2019 forecast on Sunday, the 26th of May. So we're nearly at the end now of the countdown to summer 2019. Also, we have one more season model roundup to do. That will be on Saturday. I think that'll be Saturday the 25th of May. But we are nearly at the end now, so only a couple of weeks to go, and then you'll see what we're forecasting for the summer of 2019. Right, this video will be placed on the summer 2019 updates and soon to be forecast page. There'll be a written summary that goes with it as well. I'll try to get that up for you around 7-8 o'clock this evening, something like that. We'll have the GASO Study Roundup coming up for you around lunchtime or just after lunch, and then this evening we're going to begin the countdown to the late spring bank holiday weekend. But at 37 minutes, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.